This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Monday Mashup, Detroit Sports Podcast Network, brand new show, second week. I'm the host, Shea Norling. Last week I introduced myself, sports reporter in the area, keeping ear to the ground, everything NBA, MLB, NFL. Not a huge hockey guy, I said that, but I'll do my best to get into it and keep you posted when the wintertime comes. Right now, though, NBA offseason, and joining me to talk about this, co-host on my old former independent sports podcast, The Goal Line Stand, good friend of mine, Tanner Seltzer. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Like you said, my name's Tanner Seltzer. We previously had a podcast going together, sports podcast. You guys may ask, like, who the hell is this guy? I ask myself the same question every day, but no, I'm kidding. We're just two dudes who like to talk about sports. We've known each other for a long time. We just like to consider it two friends chit-chatting about sports and things we're passionate about. Just quick background on myself. I grew up in Michigan, lived there for 21 years. Now I currently live in Florida. Still got those Michigan roots to my heart. U of M fan, Lions fan, all of that. Like Shea said, I'm not much into hockey. We can try to touch on it, but baseball we can do, football, basketball, all of that stuff. Love it. Let's get it rolling, Shea. I'm ready.
I needed a Michigan man to bring onto this show because obviously I said last week, I think I'm a Michigan State guy. I'm a Spartan fan. So we need this balance. We need this competitive balance where, college football season's gearing up. And I think it's going to be good if we can have a nice little back and forth and a little competitive nature in this podcast.
Yeah, we got to bring balance to the force. You can't have too much bias on one side in one show, and that's what I'm going to bring to this.
Yeah, just me on my Spartan soapbox and my 8 out of 10 would have gotten old. So I needed a Michigan man to come in here and keep me in check sometimes. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to have Tanner joining me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously, we got to get into the biggest news of the week. And no doubt in my mind, something that, like, as far as NBA free agency goes, we thought the biggest story was going to be, where does LeBron end up? LeBron went to the Lakers. Everybody kind of expected it, but for some reason it was still shocking. And then even more shocking, just a couple days after, was DeMarcus Cousins signing with the Warriors for the mid-level exception, $5.3 million. And kind of just broke the internet. Like, everybody just flipped out. And you and I were on the same boat. We were texting back and forth, just like, cancel the NBA. Forget it. Like, Golden State it's not even fun anymore. I don't want to watch. Just cancel the season. Throw the whole season away. And I don't know about you, but I think we all overreacted immensely in the heat of the moment.
Oh, it's very easy to overreact when you see a former all-star, even though he's coming off an injury. This guy's a beast, man. Like, he averages 25 points a game, averages a double-double, it seems like, every game. And he has the capability of scoring 40 points a game. So it's just, of course everyone's going to blow it out of proportion. We did the same thing last year or 2 years ago when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, and then they added another all-star. We thought 4 was bad, then now it's 5. So, but yeah, like you said, we blew it out of proportion a little bit just because, like I said, this guy's coming off an Achilles injury, which is one of the hardest injuries to come back from.
Especially when you're 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's a big boy too. Like, he's not like some skinny tall guy. He's thick per se.
Oh my God.
He's thick. But anyway, back to my point. He's still going to be a solid player, and when he does return, he's not going to come back right away, I don't think. He said in an article that he's going to play when he is ready, which I think is the smart move for him. He doesn't want to rush anything. The team's already fine without him, obviously. Former NBA champions, back to back now, going for 3 in a row. Like, he can take his time getting back, and when he does, though, it's not going to be easy. It's hard. He has a big ego too. DeMarcus Cousins, he's not going to mesh right away. It's going to take some time for them to get ready.
That's my worry for Golden State. And the more I thought about this, is it weird that the thought of Jonas Jerebko going to the Warriors bothers me more than them getting DeMarcus Cousins? Because I honestly think Jerebko stands a chance to be more impactful, not only right away, but also down the line with Golden State. I think I started looking at DeMarcus Cousins on this team, and you kind of realize he doesn't fit with what Steve Kerr has liked to do during this dynasty run, where Steve Kerr goes small and he switches on defense all the time, and he's really defensive-minded. It's an elite defensive team, and DeMarcus Cousins has not been on an elite defensive team in his career, and he's not exactly an elite defensive center. So I don't see him meshing right into what they do, especially since you got beat writers in San Francisco coming out now saying even when he is healthy, he's probably not going to start.
I mean, yeah, especially not right away. I mean, eventually down the line, maybe later in the season, they're going to give him his minutes. But when he comes back, he's going to be on a minute restriction more than likely. And like you said, he doesn't fit, like you said. And I think this is more DeMarcus Cousins betting on himself. Obviously getting a ring is a nice bonus, but when you don't have any GMs ask for you, they don't call your agent at all, and you got to make a call. And you call the Warriors, and they pick you up. I mean, this is a risk for him. He wants that max contract, and I think this is him taking a risk for the 2019 season.
Well, and it's a brilliant move by him, too, when you think about it. This is a guy who he gets to go and rehab his leg in some of the nicest facilities in the country. He gets to be in a winning environment for the first time in his career, and he gets to just take his time. There's no pressure for him to come back. Anywhere else that he went in the league, there would have been pressure for him to come back and be a maximum contributor as close to right away as possible. If he stayed in New Orleans for 2 years, $40 million, they're going to want him back, not in February or April or May, like the Warriors want him back. They're going to want him back in December or early January and be a max contributor right away coming in. There's no pressure for him to come back and ball out. All he has to do really is rehab until the playoffs, get into the playoffs, make maybe 18, 20 minutes a night, score some buckets, come into free agency next summer with some fresh championship shine and full health, and he's good to go. It's a brilliant move by Boogie, and I have a problem with people who are mad at him and mad at the Warriors, because you should be mad at every other NBA GM that let this happen.
Oh, 100%. You're correct. I mean, this is a brilliant move for both parties, DeMarcus Cousins and the Warriors. Like, what do the Warriors lose out of this? They give up $5 million for a former All-Star, and it has the potential to be an All-Star any season. And even if it doesn't work out, you just point and say, well, we only gave up $5 million. He was injured, and we're still going to be the Warriors no matter what. But if he comes back and just absolutely dominates, fits this team perfectly, and you still get a ring out of it, then even better, and if they have to let him go in the next season, which they probably will, let's be realistic here. I don't see them signing DeMarcus Cousins to a max deal. I just think it's just a win-win for both sides.
And they have problems if it comes back to signing DeMarcus Cousins long-term, because next summer, obviously, they have to look at Kevin Durant will likely opt out of his contract and be looking for another one. Klay Thompson's a free agent. In 2020, Draymond Green's a free agent. They have a lot of money that they have to figure out how they're going to spend it, and there's no way Boogie fits into that.
No, absolutely not. And just to sidestep and take a step back, my question is, how is he going to mesh with that ego of DeMarcus Cousins and then Draymond Green right there? He's the leader of that team, but DeMarcus Cousins has always been one of those dudes who wants the ball. He wants to go to work and do his thing. And I don't know if I wonder if egos are going to clash in this upcoming season at some point.
The crazy thing I saw when I was running some numbers to really kind of break this down, and I was looking at DeMarcus Cousins' stats throughout his career, which honestly are phenomenal from an offensive standpoint, and even at times he's a good defender, but really he's had negative impact on teams as far as team defense goes, and his usage rate is astronomical. This dude has the highest career usage rate of any player on the Warriors at 32%. I mean, Kevin Durant doesn't get used that much, and he was like a one-man show in Oklahoma City at times when Russ Westbrook was hurt. So the fact that DeMarcus Cousins has that high of a usage rate, and I know he's played in Sacramento where they needed to lean on him a lot, but this is a guy who's never been in a situation where you really have to share the ball and you really have to play for your team instead of for yourself. And I have questions about how he's going to fit into that locker room with that, especially his reputation as a locker room cancer. I know the Warriors are taking on very little risk from a money standpoint, but there is potential that he comes in and ruins the mood in that locker room.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just think, like you said, he's always been a high usage player, and he's going to have to take a back seat now, which it's going to be interesting to see if he even wants to do that. Like if he's willing to do that just to win a ring. And I think that's what it's going to take. He's going to be this guy who's going to get, like, when he does play, he'll probably be a double night guy, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Let's be realistic here. There's so many people, so many mouths they have to feed in Golden State. It's just going to be interesting going forward. And what's even more scary to think about is when those boys come off the bench and, you got the bench players coming in, which is still deep, one of the deepest benches in the league. And then like you catch up or something, you're coming back with 5 All-Stars that are coming back on the court after, a certain amount of time with the bench on the floor. It's scary.
The crazy thing is, there's potential that they have a 6th All-Star coming off the bench if they start Boogie in Andre Iguodala. I mean, their team is insanely deep at this point.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about Iggy still being there. 2015 Finals MVP. People seem to forget that, and he was a huge factor for them last season too. When he went down in the Houston series, that you felt it. You could see the difference in how they played.
They were a different team, and when he was not playing in Game 1 against the Cavs, it was a whole different experience for that team than it was when he was on the court. They look completely different with Iggy, and as weird as it is to think that he is the motor that drives Golden State, it kind of looks that way.
Oh, I mean, I 100% agree. I can't disagree with you. And he's just high energy guy, and he's like a veteran who can get behind these guys and help them out in certain spots when you need it. He can do anything on the floor you need him to. So yeah, like you said, man, it's this next season is going to be super interesting. I think the question though is who out there in the NBA can match them? Who can actually compete with this team?
You know my answer.
I know your answer, and I think it's the only answer. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't. As much as I want to think that I'm doing a homer take, because I don't want to hype myself up so much for it as a Celtics fan, but honestly, I can't see a team more equipped to compete with Golden State than the Boston Celtics. Top to bottom, they all shoot threes. They can all drive the lane. It's the only team that's as talented 1 through 5 and maybe 1 through 12 as Golden State.
I agree with you, and I didn't like agreeing with you just because when our this past playoffs, we were going against each other. We had a bet against each other, Cavs in Boston. I took the Cavs. They pulled it out, but you see the talent Boston has, and you see the potential that with each year they're just going to get better and better, and Brad Stevens leading the ship. It's going to get scary. I mean, just to name a couple other teams that could give them a run for their money, probably Houston again. I mean, if they can stay healthy, Chris Paul has got to stay on the court if they want any shot of beating them at all. And then OKC, with the rumors of them buying out Melo, and when Melo's not on the floor, their efficiency just goes way up with just Russ and PG on the floor. So that'll be interesting to see. Other than that, there's really not much out there.
And really, yeah, you could look at the Lakers and go, just by virtue of having LeBron James, maybe they're able to compete. You can look at Philly and go, and there is the theory that, okay, Philly is still in the hunt for Kawhi Leonard. If they pull that off, they're instant competitors. Or if something insane happens, like Ben Simmons comes back next year and has a mid-range shot or a three-point shot and is completely unguardable, then yeah, they are all of the sudden in the mix. But right now, I don't see a team other than the Celtics that really has a shot at taking down Golden State. And as I look at the Celtics and I can't find... when you look at Golden State and you go, where's the weakness? That's the same thing that I'm doing with Boston right now. And looking at this upcoming year, I go, where is the weakness? You have to go very deep into their bench to start getting thin.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest weakness is the obvious one is injuries. You got to stay healthy. I mean, plain and simple, that's every Boston fan's excuses. We didn't have Kyrie. We didn't have Hayward, which is understandable. But at the end of the day, these guys, Kyrie especially, has had a history of getting injured on a regular basis. So he's got to stay on the floor. And he's had experience against that Golden State team, of course, in 2016, hitting a clutch shot. And if he stays on the court, they're going to be dangerous going forward. What's
going to be interesting to see with the Celtics especially is, will Brad Stevens limit Gordon Hayward and limit Kyrie Irving in regular season minutes, especially with the way that he saw his young guys and Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier really emerge in the playoffs. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown obviously goes without saying. But is there a chance, I think, that Brad Stevens could really look and say, hey, Kyrie, we only need 28 minutes out of you a night during the regular season. We don't need you to go for 40 until we get to the playoffs. And they could just coast through that way and then get to playoff time and go, all right, now we need max minutes out of Kyrie and Gordon Hayward.
I could definitely see that, and I could also see him going the Greg Popovich route and just sitting his entire starting lineup one night, or like once a month or whatever. Popovich was notorious for that, just last second not starting anybody. I could see him doing that just because they're so deep and they can afford it. Probably against teams they don't really need to, teams they're probably going to beat without them would be the route to go. And I think they'll still be able to win games, and they'll end up winning. They'll be the number one seed in the East without a doubt in my mind. So yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, they got to stay healthy if they want any chance at winning the finals.
Injuries are definitely going to be their worst enemy, and if they do come back, that could be the thing that derails the Celtics. But assuming they stay healthy, that is the team, I think, to beat in the East, and the one team that can compete with Golden State. And I like you brought up Popovich. That's peak Pop when he told the media, basically, fuck you, when the media was like, why are you sitting your entire team? Isn't that disrespectful to the fans? And Pop's like, no, I don't really care what you have to say. I don't want these guys playing. That's peak Pop.
And fans would get mad too because they paid money to go see these star players, and when every single star player is gone, of course they're going to get mad. And of course, a guy like me who has a gambling addiction, I'm always on DraftKings, and I pick a player that's on the San Antonio Spurs, and then they're not playing, I get angry. Okay, but just because it's Pop, I kind of had to let it go.
Dude, yeah, that was a big problem a couple years ago too. But looking on, you brought up Melo getting bought out by the Thunder, and reports are that there's a lot of interest for Melo to go and play with his old buddy LeBron James in LA. But he seems to be the only quote unquote superstar, because I don't think he fits that bill anymore. Superstars don't want to go play with LeBron anymore, and that to me, as shocking as the DeMarcus Cousins developments were, even more shocking were the reports from Shams Charania saying that Kawhi Leonard at this point is really seriously eyeing the Clippers instead of the Lakers because he doesn't want to play with LeBron. The reports that came out about Kyrie wanting to ask for a trade after the 2016 title and having never wanted LeBron to return to Cleveland. More shocking even than DeMarcus to the Warriors for a mid-level exception is that people are gone on LeBron. No one wants to play with this guy.
I mean, I think you touched on it too, is like people heard what happened with Kyrie, and, he got overshadowed so much in Cleveland, and he wanted a piece of that spotlight. And I think a lot of these players do want a piece of that spotlight, such as Kawhi Leonard and, Melo and other people such as that. They want spotlight. They want to be that guy, and you can't be that guy when LeBron James is on the team, because he's LeBron James, of course. So I mean, and LeBron's such a he's such a big character. It's LA, and they don't want to be a back seat to him. And the chance of winning a title isn't as great as it used to be with him, in my opinion. Like, I think right now, like they're a really young core in LA built around LeBron, but there's just not that much there to work with outside of, if you come in as an all-star, it's just going to be you and him and a bunch of young guys that are trying to win a title in a loaded Western Conference. So, I mean, that probably has a lot to do with it.
And LeBron James is also one of maybe the only player in NBA history that is larger than the league itself. He's the one guy who is larger than life. And Jordan, to an extent, was. But I think LeBron has gone even further with it, to the point that I don't know how else to say it. He's bigger than the league. People that don't know the NBA know LeBron James. So when you go to play with him, especially in a market like LA, and you're a superstar, you're a Paul George or a Kawhi Leonard or Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant, you will be second to LeBron. Always. And that's the one thing, and this is just like a recent thing for me, where I look back on the Kevin Durant thing when he went to Golden State, and we all said, snake. He doesn't want to be the guy. He's a coward. He wants to go and play with the best team ever. He can't do it himself in Oklahoma City. Well, when you really think about it, that Golden State team was coming off a loss to the first time and really the only time that they played a healthy Cavs team without Kevin Durant. And they came off a loss to a 32-year-old LeBron James. And then they added Kevin Durant. And all Kevin Durant has done since is been Finals MVP twice, and literally been the reason why they've won both series, in that he's so good. So you look at it, he has been the guy for Golden State in a situation where people said he's not capable of being that guy. He went and did it on that team. So I have respect for that move, kind of in hindsight now, whereas you look at, why didn't he want to go to LA and play with LeBron? Well, because you will never have an opportunity to be the reason why they won a championship. If you play with LeBron James, you will never be the reason why you won.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, like you said, Kevin Durant went there and he did his thing. If he went there and did just, kind of chilled back and just kind of being the second, third guy on that team. No, he is like the main guy, the main scorer on that team. He can do anything on the floor you can imagine. And like you said, like coming off that 2016 loss, losing in Game 7 like that, I'm sure it was heartbreaking, which, gives them a reason just to go out there. They want to win it. But at the end of the day, it's like, dude, they're just – the guy's unbeatable. I think Kevin Durant's one of like the top. He's got to be the best offensive player in the league, in my opinion. I think he's over LeBron offensively. Just LeBron's better all around. So yeah, I mean, like you said, no one wants to go sit behind LeBron. So it's just rough. It's rough out here for these All-Stars. And another thing you got to think about too is this might not be the best time for LA to looking for free agents too. If he's not getting any All-Stars to come to LA next year, when the free agency class is just absolutely stacked top to bottom, then you're going to really start scratching your head like, okay, there's something else really going on here in LA with LeBron.
Well, and you'll have to look at Magic Johnson too, because if Magic can't figure out a way to get these guys some talent around them. But yeah, you're right. You look at 2019 and what the Lakers have done this summer, they are setting themselves up to walk into next year's free agency class with almost unlimited money.
Yeah, and they set themselves up beautifully.
That's a situation where all of a sudden maybe you surround LeBron with 3 All-Stars. Just make it happen. But the way that things are coming out right now, and the most telling 2 things I think are Paul George staying in Oklahoma City, because I think that says everything. This is a guy who left Indiana where he could have made $220 million on a Supermax contract because he wanted to be a Laker. He goes to Oklahoma City, LeBron goes to the Lakers, and all of a sudden Paul George doesn't want to be a Laker anymore. That it left $100 million on the table and is re-signing in Oklahoma City where he likely can never win. That says a lot to me that he doesn't want to be the second fiddle to LeBron. And also the Shams Charania report about Kawhi wanting to go to the Clippers instead of the Lakers because of LeBron. It says a lot, dude. Like I understand Kawhi is from LA, but who in the NBA wants to play in that market and settles on the Clippers instead of the Lakers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like Kawhi, Kawhi's gone up against LeBron, a couple times in the NBA Finals, and he's held his own against him. I don't see why he would want to go with LeBron. That one doesn't really shock me as much. Maybe the fact he wants to go play for the Clippers kind of shocks me, just because it's the freaking Clippers. Who wants to go play with them? But I mean, it's LA at the end of the day. But Kawhi is just. He can do it all himself too. People forget just because he was out last season, he's still a top 5 player in the league, no question. And he just wants to be on his own. But like I said, if 2019 rolls around and they're not, and LeBron and LA, the Lakers aren't getting these free agents, such guys as like Kemba Walker, and Kevin Durant's going to be free agent next year. He's probably not going to go there, but Klay Thompson, there's so many people, like he's going to get at least one. And it's just going to be curious to see like what caliber of All-Star he's going to get to play alongside him.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, you really look at Kawhi Leonard and going to the Clippers. It's just shocking to me that you would want to go to a franchise with no history instead of going and playing with LeBron and going and winning titles. But you look at Kawhi Leonard really, and to me, dude, I'm so done with this guy and his temper tantrums and his acting like a petulant child, dude. Like, how are you going to hide from Spurs doctors when they come to check on you in New York, and you're going to run away from them and not talk to them? And now I don't want to play with LeBron, so I'd rather play for the Clippers. Like, can you stop whining?
Yeah.
This guy had one of the best situations in the NBA, and he threw it all away for nothing.
Yeah, and he butted heads with Pop, I think, sometimes, and I don't know if like he felt rushed coming back from injury. Like he kept saying, I want to take my time, and like it's my body, I can do what I want. So, and to an extent, I agree, but like at the same time, dude, you're out there, you're supposed to be making, be the guy out there winning games. You're supposed to be this high caliber top 5 player in the league. Go show it. Go show us why. What did he play last year, Shea? Like 10 games or something like that?
I think he played 7 games, and then he just stopped.
It's something stupid like that. And I mean, come on, bro. Like, just get out there and play. Quit being a big baby. You're not some prima donna. I know you're from LA, but just cut the act, man.
And that's one of the wild things about it to me too, is you want to be the guy, dude. Be the guy in San Antonio. You have the best coach in NBA history. You have one of the best general managers in R.C. Buford in NBA history. You have an incredible situation where you have dynasty players around you, and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker on their last rides with the team, and you can't get off the bench. Be the guy for your team. You almost took down Golden State by yourself a year ago.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the Zaza Pachulia rolled ankle play, like I think they would have gave Golden State a run for their money. It might have been a 6-7 game series. They might have ended up losing, but it would have been a hell of a lot more interesting. And I also think like San Antonio, people kind of overlook San Antonio, but they have a lot of young players that have potential down there. And if I felt like if Kawhi, and it's still possible, Kawhi, like he's still on the Spurs roster. If he stays there, they might cause some damage if he's actually 100% in all year, all season, and just gets behind Popovich in the game plan. They could be a threat.
Kawhi Leonard is a guy who you put him on an NBA team. I don't care who you surround him with. He's a LeBron James type talent. He could drag a bad team very deep into the playoffs. Do it. Just, you want to be the guy so bad, just do it.
Yeah, he's like I said, he's a LeBron type player. Like, he can do it all on the court, and he's a defensive just beast. He's like a defensive player of the year once, I think, or finals MVP.
I think 2-time defensive player of the year. Yeah, finals MVP. He can shoot the three. He can drive. He can dunk. He can pass. Dude, just play basketball.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I guess if he wants out of San Antonio so bad, then so be it. But just when you move, when you go to a different team, I really don't want to hear another word out of your mouth. Like, I really don't. You get your money, you get your spot. That's it. Nothing else. Play basketball.
That's the one thing that I will say about LeBron, where he's kind of earned it in that he is bigger than the league, and he is bigger than whatever team he is on. He's such a character and such a personality and such a force that when he goes somewhere, he can kind of drive management. In like when he was in Cleveland, and he would, play a big role in getting guys traded away or getting guys traded in. And now in LA, he may do the same thing where he'll tell Magic, look, this is who I want. Go get him. And they'll do it because it's LeBron James. With Kawhi, I don't care where you go, dude. Your whining like this has lost you the right to have any say in who they put around you. This is ridiculous.
Oh, 100%. And real quick, just to touch on that, you mentioned LeBron and his role with management and how he wants to build a team around him. For those of you out there was an article by Brian Windhorst and Ramona Shelburne of ESPN. They talked about how Magic Johnson brought on that team, LeBron, and like the meetings they had together before free agency started, and his game plan of what he wanted to do. And this may have something to do with it. Like, in the meantime, they got such a young roster, but they brought in guys like, Lance Stevenson, Rondo, and who's the other center? They signed someone else. JaVale McGee. That's right. And, they wanted this new defensive mindset, which I can respect. We've talked about this before, that like LeBron's career is going to take a turn here pretty soon where he's not going to be this dominant player the whole game. You know what I mean? He's going to change his game style a bit as he gets older. He's going to become a spot up shooter. He'll still be able to do some of those things, but just a lot less. And he's never really had a team with a good defense, Shea. And this would be interesting, is like these players that they signed are very efficient on the defensive side of the ball. So it'll be interesting if they can hold teams to just low point games and let LeBron take over late if it's close. That might be a winning formula down the line. I'm not saying this year. I'm just saying if that's what their mindset is going forward, it could work.
JaVale on defense is okay. Lance is still an above average player. But I do think it broke my heart, first of all, to see who I thought was a Celtic at heart in Rajon Rondo sign with the Lakers. And second, the fact that article tried to sell Rondo as one of the more versatile and elite defenders in the league, even today when he hasn't been that in the last few years, was kind of laughable to me. And I know you get him for 1 year, $9 million. Okay, cool. But he has not been that lockdown defender that he once was in a long time. And he's still a playmaker, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rondo. I think you're cutting. You're digging into Rondo a little too much. I think last year he was pretty solid still, because he was splitting minutes up in the Pelicans or whatever, and he was solid. Like, for what he was and who he is, like he's not going to go score. Of course, he's not. He's a pass first point guard, and guess who else is a pass first point guard? Shea? Lonzo Ball.
I love Lonzo with LeBron.
This is a perfect teacher for Lonzo to have. Some may think it's his dad. His dad probably thinks he's the best teacher for him, but he's not. Rondo's a good option too. And I think, it's just having Rondo there on the bench right behind Ball as he's starting games, or if Rondo's starting games and Lonzo's sitting and watching, that's a good combo to have for him going forward. And I think, and also just that young core they have there too. There's some shooters on the Lakers that people don't realize. One of which is Mo Wagner, my boy. Wagner's there, and he's an excellent shooter. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see, going forward, they could be really good with that young group who can shoot and play defense all around. It'll be interesting to see how they work out together.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how that all plays out. And one of the more interesting storylines, I think, too, is come opening night, will Lonzo Ball still be a Laker?
My thing is yes. I would probably say yes. I don't think. I mean, we all see that picture of LeBron covering his jersey up in a game against the Lakers, and they're him and Lonzo are just chit chatting at midcourt or whatever. I don't think LeBron has a hate for the Ball family or anything. I think he respects them and what they do. So I think they'll probably keep him around. To be honest, he's young still and he has time to grow.
Also, I just had a thought that with Rondo's lackluster defense, in my opinion, last year, I also should say that it's interesting that coincides with DeMarcus Cousins being on the Pelicans, because DeMarcus Cousins, as I said earlier in this episode, has a history of dragging down team defense. So that could play a factor too, and maybe Rondo freed up from that and in a LeBron system, in the Magic Johnson system, could be a better defender.
Yeah, of course, and at one point in his career, he was an elite defender. He knows all the things to do. And like I said, he's just going to come in and teach these young guys a defensive mindset like unlike any other. And, I think LeBron at points when he wants to play defense, he can play defense. So, and I think, that's a good mold to have around a team. And, like I said, the shooters, once they get better, once they get older, maybe not this year, maybe in a couple of years or so, they could be a threat in the West.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And to add a little local flair to this episode right here at the end, our boys have been playing pretty well. Jaren Jackson has been a lights-out shooter at times with a, honestly, really bad dunk attempt last night. But at times, he's been a lights-out shooter. He's played excellent in Summer League. Miles Bridges has played well in Summer League as well. And your man, Mo Wagner, has been going out of his mind. And even Duncan Robinson came through with a poster dunk.
Duncan Robinson, man. I thought when they entered the draft, I thought Robinson had the most potential, even though he was the oldest and he's a senior. He fits the game perfectly today. He's a big dude who can defend and he can shoot the three. When he gets hot, he's hot. He's like Kyle Korver-esque when he's on. And so I think he'll end up on a roster at some point. I don't think he's going to start anywhere, but he'll make the bench and he's going to get minutes eventually. So he's got a lot of upside. But yeah, like you said, you touched on Jaren Jackson. He was lighting it up. He's looking like a ball handler out there, which he wasn't really at State. He was more of like a pick and roll, pick and pop type of guy, and he could defend pretty well. But it's kind of interesting to watch them transition a little bit here in the league.
And I'm of the mind that he was kind of limited under Tom Izzo's coaching style at Michigan State, and now seeing him come out in Summer League, looks absolutely free, like he's been let off a leash.
Yeah, and of course these are Summer League games. We're not going to get super overhyped. We just wanted to bring a little bit of local flair, but these guys at the end of the day are playing who are going to be bench players or G League players coming into the season. So
which is really, I think in the case of Duncan Robinson, the G League will probably be his initial home. But that's okay. The G League really has become more of a developmental league than it used to be. And it's not like a semi-pro league anymore. It almost is the NBA's minor leagues now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I really do think there's a spot in the league for Duncan Robinson somewhere. If it's not with the Miami Heat, who he's with now, like I said, when he's on, he's on. This most recent game, the game against the Lakers, they went up against Mo Wagner, of course. He was 5 of 6 from 3. That's a Duncan Robinson. That's a scoring line. You can't deny him shooting the ball. And I think the league is a shooting league now, so he's going to find a spot somewhere.
And like I said, he had a posterizer dunk. And one of the funniest things about that, I thought, was Karis LeVert quote tweeted the highlight video and said, "Nah, this got to be photoshopped."
I mean, dude, he's old as hell. But he plays. He's tenacious. He's a great defender. But yeah, just to touch also on the other Michigan guy, Mo Wagner, not to overshadow him, just because I think Duncan Robinson was more of a surprise than Mo. Mo's been killing it too. His first Summer League game, he goes up against Marvin Bagley, the number 2 pick, and he just absolutely destroys him. He drops 23 and 7 his first night with Bagley guarding him most of the night. And so far, he hasn't stopped since. He's been killing it. So, props to him. And
that man loves LA.
It's a great pick, man.
That man loves LA. He played in the Staples Center in March Madness and shot the lights out against Texas A&M. That dude loves LA. What's
scary is he's not even playing in Staples Center right now.
I know, he's playing in Vegas.
So once he does, man, he's going to
watch out. I'll tell you what, if Magic was watching that March Madness game, he'd be dumb not to start Mo Wagner. That dude loves that building.
I think Mo's going to get a lot of minutes this year. People may not think so. He's got a little bit of development he's got to go through, but I think he'll get his minutes, probably off the bench, but he'll get some solid minutes. And I've always thrown out the idea of him and LeBron doing pick and rolls, pick and pops. Wagner can do it all. It's just a dream to me that LeBron, one of my favorite players, gets to go with my favorite college player that I've seen in recent years in Mo Wagner and cause some havoc.
Mo Wagner to me too is a guy who was kind of slept on for a lot of his career at Michigan and then gets picked in the second round. And I hate to draw this parallel for you, but dude, his summer league play, if he holds up and comes out in the regular season and gets heavy minutes for the Lakers and plays some good basketball, they're going to start talking about parallels between Mo Wagner and Draymond Green.
I mean, that's not a bad parallel to draw. As much as I dislike Draymond Green, I will throw that out there. I do not care. I do not like his character. But the player Draymond Green, that's a really good guy to be compared to. I think Mo could end up shooting a little better than Dre, and Dre's a little bit better, a lot better defensively right now. But Wagner's a hustle guy too. People sleep on him. He'll give it all in every game. It doesn't matter. So I think it's just, at the end of the day, it's a great pick to me.
Yeah, I just think it's a fun comparison when you look at,
Absolutely.
Obviously Draymond was picked 35th in the second round. Mo Wagner a little much later in the first round. I think 27th in the first round. So I just think it's fun, and you look at it, picked around the same slot, two guys that really could overshoot their initial league projections, and I think Mo Wagner has a really bright future, and especially Jaren Jackson hit 8 threes in a night in the summer league, which just anytime you can hit 8 NBA threes is impressive.
Yeah, and then he joins a team like Memphis, who's just like a defensive-minded type team. And, if he can produce numbers on that, I'm not saying they're going to be some crazy team, but they could be solid going forward. If they get some more acquisition, more pieces around him, they could get a nice young core in there, and they could do some work. I
really wanted him to go to Atlanta, but I think the idea of him being a Grizzly is starting to grow on me. And there's good pieces to build off of in Memphis as well.
Yeah, and they've always been a scrappy defensive team, and I think that's a good spot for him to be. It's just this defensive minded, and then he can shoot, he can do it all. So why not? Speaking of Atlanta, real quick, I don't know if you've seen, but Trae Young has been terrible. Absolutely,
his first 2 3-point attempts were air balls.
Like this dude, like he's like, and of course Steph Curry wasn't an all-star his first year in the league. It took him years to get to that level. But like, oh my God, like people keep comparing him to Steph Curry, and it drives me nuts because he can't do the things Steph can at all.
It's interesting too because you look back at last year's college season and Trae Young's lackluster finish. I don't know, maybe this is a trend.
Yeah, I mean, if he was so good, obviously he was very great. He was great at the beginning of the college season, but obviously there's something to it where that Oklahoma team started trailing really bad and only made it to the second game of the tournament and barely made it there. And then they just got smoked. So, I mean,
mollywopped.
They got, was it by Duke, right? I think it was Duke who took them out of the tournament. But
it escapes me.
Either way, this dude, I don't have a lot of faith in him going forward. I think Luka Doncic was a better pick personally.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm a guy who, I look at Luka Doncic and I get flashbacks of Darko Milicic, and it's just to me, I have a problem when EuroLeague guys get hyped up that much because it's a very different game in Europe, and I don't know that it always transitions into the NBA. But we'll see what happens with Luka.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about Trae Young is he's going to have his games where he'll probably get hot and he'll shoot 6 of 7 from 3 one game, and then the next game he's going to come out and drop a complete dud and do nothing for his team. So that's just the type of player he is. But I just don't I need some sort of consistency from a guy like that for such a high pick.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, that's all the time we got for the Monday Mashup this week. We'll be in the same spot next week, obviously on Monday. With Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Shout out to John Macaroon of Detroit Sports Podcast Network for giving us this opportunity. Love doing this show. Looking forward to it, growing and building it further. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.